Hey Bucks, it's Mr. Lavery, and we're going to go over the human skeleton system, another step in your introduction to anatomy. This will also help identify bone breaks, and we'll discuss that as we go through the human skeletal system. So I'll be using Cami to label it, and then you'll want to do this on your own or as you go along with me. So I'm just going to go from top to bottom here, so it's easier, so we don't miss anything. Go do it in blue, see how that works. So the wrist bones are your carpals, and to remember that your car pals, they should always be on the steering wheel. Carpals, car pals. Um, all right. So the clavicle, that is your collarbone, and that's one of your most commonly broken bones. Quarterbacks like to break these bones when they get thrown to the turf by defensive linemen. The clavicle is your collarbone. So we don't want to use those layman terms. We want to use the specific bone in healthcare. So this could be a little confusing. Some people refer to the whole thing as your cranium. Some people refer to the whole thing as your skull. But your cranium is essentially your top bone. Okay? And we'll come back. The whole thing is your skull, and that includes your jawbone. Your femur is the strongest bone in your body, and that is the largest bone in your body. That is your thigh bone. And it's also important to know skeletal anatomy because it helps name arteries and vessels, and blood vessels and veins. So your femur is the largest bone in your body, and you have a femoral artery. Your fibula is your smaller outer shin bone. And people get that confused. Actually, that should be your fibula. Like I was just, people often get that confused with the tibia. Your fibula, that's your smaller outer shin bone. So you don't want to make that mistake. Your humerus is your upper arm bone. And sometimes you might hit your funny bone, and that sucks. Your mandible is your jawbone. Your metacarpals, meta means middle, are your palm bones. Your metatarsals are the same thing, are very similar to your metacarpals. They're the arch of your foot, the bones in the middle of your foot. That's what meta means. So metatarsals. Patella is your kneecap, and a way to remember that is patinella, scrub the floor. Your pectoral girdle. So that is this whole area. Pelvic girdle is this whole area, your pelvis. Your phalanges are your fingers, and they're your toes. Your phalange in the air, in the air. Your phalange in the air, in the air. Put your phalanges in the air and wave them from here to there. Put your phalanges in the air, yeah. Your radius is the bone that goes from your elbow to your thumb. So to draw a radius, you go like this. So your radius is from the center of a circle to the perimeter. Your ribs, I think everybody knows what your ribs are. I want my baby back, baby back, baby back, baby back, baby back, baby back. Chili's, baby back ribs. Barbecue sauce. I gotta fix that box. There we go. So your scapula is your shoulder blade. Sounds like scrupula, but it's scapula. All right. Your skull. So your mandible plus your cranium is your skull. Sternum. That's your chest bone. Metatarsals are your ankle bones. Your tibia is your big shin bone. Your ulna is your forearm. So that goes from your pinky to your elbow. And the way to remember that, use your forearm to keep ulna away. Your vertebrae make up your spinal column. So your vertebrae are stacked on top of each other. And the whole column is your vertebral column. So I think we covered everything there. Now, these are joints at the bottom here. And this would be, I believe that is your hip. So that would be a ball joint. This is your hinge joint. I believe that is your vertebrae. So that would be your synovial joint. And this is your neck and to the head. So in between the vertebrae, there are synovial joints and discs. I think we're looking at between your skull and your vertebrae, your cervical collar, and that would be a pivot joint. I got to check that synovial joint. I'm not sure what they're looking for there. So, we should always check ourselves, and we can do that by going the joint between vertebrae, gliding joints. So they might be looking for that. So why don't we change that? That's a little easier to remember. I think that would be good. That would be easier to remember. Gliding joints are meant to, I guess, cushion each other, or slide over each other. So we use that in a lot of different places in our body. So that's good. If you have any questions, you can message me. If you have any doubts or different perspectives on this diagram, I'm just working with the word bank there. And it's important for us to be able to minimally identify the major bones in our body, the joints. And we'll go further into the skeletal system. Thank you. Make sure you complete the diagram for yourself.